Ever opened a website and thought, is my Wi-Fi broken? That's not your internet, my friend. That's client-side rendering taking its sweet time. And then you open another site and bam, the content's already there before you blink. That's the magic of server-side rendering. Hello everybody. Today we are breaking down the great React debate. Client-side rendering versus server-side rendering. What is faster, safer, cheaper, and smarter for your next project? We'll run a live demo, compare load times, peek under the hood at security, and even talk about how each behaves when you deploy to AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud or Oracle Cloud. So grab your development mug, hit that like button faster than your JS bundle loads, and let's see which side the render war you belong to. And before we get started, thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And drop in a comment for anything that is not clear. All right, let's kick things off with client-side rendering, the do-it-yourself approach of the web world. Here's what happens. Your server says, hey browser, here's a blank canvas and a bag of JavaScript. Good luck. The browser then rolls up its sleeves, downloads that massive JS bundle, and starts bundling your shiny React app right on the client. Basically, the browser becomes the carpenter, electrician, and painter all at once. Now, where does client-side rendering shine? It's perfect for dashboards, SPAs, and internal tools, where SEO doesn't matter, and you just need everything to run fast after it loads. You can host it anywhere, even on your grandma's Raspberry Pi if it's got Nginx. But what are the trade-offs? Oh yeah, your users might stare at a blank screen for a few seconds while everything loads. And if you're hoping Google will magically understand that empty div, well, let's just say SEO might need a helping hand. So client-side rendering is like instant noodles, cheap, easy, quick to make, but not always great for presentation or nutrition. Now let's talk about server-side rendering, the fancy restaurant version of web development. Here's what happens. Instead of giving the browser a bag of JavaScript parts, the server says, relax, I got this, and sends over a complete, ready to serve HTML page. The browser just hydrates it, adds interactivity, kind of like pouring hot water on instant ramen. Except this ramen is Michelin star quality. Why is SSR awesome? It's perfect for SEO, content-heavy sites, and e-commerce. Basically anywhere you care about Google actually finding your stuff. Plus users see something immediately. That's first contentful paint. It's lightning fast, blink, and your site's already there. But there's a catch. SSR needs a real compute. Node servers or serverless functions that don't come cheap. And caching gets trickier because every request can be unique. It's like running a coffee shop. Every user gets their custom latte, but you better have enough baristas, or in this case, CPUs. So SSR gives you the best user experience, fast, polished, SEO friendly, but your DevOps team might start drinking more coffee than your users. All right, now that we know how client-side rendering works, let's weigh the good, the bad, and the slightly laggy. The pros. Client-side rendering is simple. No fancy servers, no expensive infrastructure, no ops team on standby with a pager. It's cheaper at small scale. You can host it on S3, Netlify, or even your cousin's gaming PC if you're feeling brave. And it's flexible. Client-side state is all yours. So you can go wild with React Query, Redux, or whatever flavor of the month state manager you love. Now, what are the cons? That first blank screen, yeah, that's your site saying, hold on, I'm thinking, especially on slow networks. SEO, well, client-side rendering, and Google SEO is search engine optimization. So CSR and Google aren't exactly best friends. You'll need some extra tricks to make bots happy. And finally, performance will depend on the user's device. If someone's loading your site on a 2015 Android, you might need a coffee break before it renders. So yeah, client-side rendering is simple and budget-friendly, but sometimes it makes your users feel like they're waiting for an Uber that's almost there. Time to give server-side rendering its report card, and it's looking pretty good. What are the pros? First up, SSR gives you instant content. Users see your page right away. No more blank white screens or loading that feels like eternity. It's smooth, it's snappy, it's chef kiss for user experience. It's also search engine optimizers' best friend. Google crawlers can finally read real HTML instead of crying over an empty div. And let's not forget security. All your data fetching happens on the server, meaning no API keys or secrets floating around the client like loose change. What are the cons? Server-side rendering can get a little pricey. You're paying for compute, node servers or serverless functions that wake up just to serve that perfect HTML dish. You'll also need a careful caching strategy. Cache too long, users see stale data, don't cache enough, and your server starts sweating. And if you're using serverless, brace for that occasional cold start. That moment when your function wakes up and goes, oh, you needed me, give me a second. So yes, server-side rendering gives you speed, SEO, and security, but it's like owning a sports car, fast, powerful, and needs tuning. Now let's check out the demo. Where first, we will set up client-side rendering. And for that, I will use Vite plus React. And I'll rehab the folder made CSR demo. You can run a simple command, but you need to have npm or node performance manager installed. And there will be many tutorials of people who would have show you how to do npm installation, or you could just Google the documentation. But once npm is installed, you could have Vite and run this command over here. But this will create a folder CSR demo, do the required installation, follow the prompts, and then have the right setting. Afterwards, the installation will proceed. And if I open a browser, so come and open the required folder where your CSR is installed. Telling this, it has already made a CSR demo. And what we need to do is, inside SRC, I will update the app.js and delete all this code and replace with my code here. So this is going to be a simple home page, and in src main.jsx, I will replace this code with my updated code to point it to app.jsx. Mark in the VS Code itself, we can open a terminal and cd2 CSR, and run the command. So now I have started the server, which is on 5173. Let's go to the browser and see how the display behaves. So this is the page that is shown. If you see, it takes an initial time to load. Like you see, this is where it is loading. And all this work is being done on the browser side. If I do view page source, you will be able to see the code here as well on what is done. So this is a very simple client-side rendering using Vite in React. So now let's see the server-side rendering demo, where we create a file similar to what we did in client-side rendering. And for server-side rendering, we are going to use Next.js framework. I have these commands where I'm setting up SSR demo, and let me run it again. So it's asking for the prompt. click yes, and the directory is React compiler. I could just leave it yes. Tailwind CSS, you could choose Tailwind JavaScript, and could just choose inside the SRC directory. You could just leave it as the default, to TurboPack, just leave the default. It should be fine unless you want to change it. And would you like to customize the default, And after which, it will install your Next.js package for you. It'll take a few minutes, after which Next.js is going to be configured. Now let's PM. Let's CD into the demo. Let's run the TI. So we have the SSR demo. Let us CD into that and run. And PM, so it will install all the required softwares that are needed. Now let's go to Visual Studio Code and update the code to change our display. Now, with the project open in Visual Studio Code, let us update it. So here we have the app. We will update the page.tsx, remove everything in here. And this is the code. This will be part of the blog as well that you can see. So this is going to be updating the server-side rendering fetch. Save this. And we would also add an API. So because the server-side, you can create APIs as well. I'll make an API and all the echo and route.ts. This is the route handler to show the server side on the endpoint. This is a simple code I have written, but I'm just going to expose this response. If I hit the URL, I will get this particular output. And then npm dev. So this is running on 3000. And my code was running on 5173. So let's open the browser and see how the page is looking. Provide the URL. So the page is compiling. And this is where you see the pages render. So it shows the content here because the page is rendering from the server side. But it's going to be a lot faster because when you deploy the application React, the code is going to be pre-compiled. It's going to be compiled. So currently it is running locally, but in the deployed one, it will be a lot faster and better than CSR. And if I do a view source, this is where I will see the proper rendered HTML only. I hope this provides a good small demo. As you see, it is very simple to set up either. You need to use the right framework. Once you choose the framework, you can get the right React application development. Our recommendation is to always go with server-side rendering, because with server-side rendering, you can also choose to have the browser do it. You get the client-side rendering features. But if you go with client-side rendering, you will miss out on a lot of the SEO, security, performance, benefits that come out of the box with Next.js frameworks. Okay, time to talk about something that every React developer secretly obsesses over: plugins and integrations. Because let's be honest, half of our jobs are just installing packages and hoping they work the same in production. Here's how the plugin battleground looks between CSR and SSR. Analytics like Google Analytics or Segment. CSR handles them easily, plug it in, and you are done. But in SSR, you need to initialize them after hydration using useEffect. So CPU, SEO, and head tags, a big SSR win. With tools like Next/head, your metadata and titles are rendered server side. So Google bots can actually see them. Client-side rendering, it tries less its heart, but React-Helmet can only do so much after the page loads. Image optimization is pure SSR territory. Next/image only works when the server can resize and serve images dynamically. CSR can't do that without a backend, so your images just show up as is. Authentication using Next Auth or Okta SDK, both supported. But SSR will be more secure because SSR can store refresh tokens safely on the server, while CSR handles only short-lived access tokens on the client. So think of SSR as the cautious bouncer checking IDs and CSR as the chill intern waving everyone in. GraphQL and caching tools like Apollo or React Query, they work in both. But SSR can prefetch data, so the first render is instant. CSR loads after the fact, which means more loading spinners. Internationalization or I-18N, both can handle it. SSR re-renders local routes, while CSR can switch languages on the fly. Middleware and edge functions, this is where SSR is good. Only SSR frameworks like Next.js or Remix lets you handle requests at the edge, adding redirects, auth checks, or rewrites before the page even renders. And finally, any client visuals like chart.js, CSR is good with them, but SSR not so much. But you need to dynamically import them because, let's face it, the server doesn't need to see your bar chart. So overall, CSR is good for flexibility and simplicity, but SSR wins in power and control. All right, time for the big question. Which one should you actually use? Well, if your application is a dashboard, an internal tool, or something that doesn't care about SEO, go ahead and use CSR. It's lightweight, cheap, and deploys faster than you can say npm run build, and the cost of deployment will be less as well compared to using React SSR. It will, again, it's not going to be significantly, it's just going to be a few cents or maybe $1 or two more. But if you care about SEO, speed, or security, which most applications do, you should go with server-side rendering. Because server-side rendering is perfect for marketing, sites, blogs, or e-commerce applications where every millisecond and meta tag counts. And honestly, for most teams, the real answer isn't one or the other. The sweet spot is go with SSR with Next.js. You get best of both worlds. You render your page on the server for instant content, then hydrate it on the client for rich interactivity, giving you the perfect requirement. You can fetch data securely on the server, keep the tokens hidden, and still run client-only charts, analytics, and animations. It's like having your cake, eating it, and caching it at the edge. So, client-side rendering, if you're keeping it simple, SSR if you're serious about scale, and Next.js hybrid if you want to flex both muscles. So I hope this video was able to provide you a good distinction on differences between CSR and SSR, and our recommendation from Marina Technologies, since we have built thousands of websites for a lot of customers, as well as we have our own platform, Cloud My Site. Go and subscribe to it, and check out the newsletter, and refer to your friends and family for building or hosting requirements. There you have N8 and WordPress and a lot of the features. But with our experience, go with Next.js. You will be better off compared to going with client-side rendering. With this, we have reached the end. Once again, thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, and drop in a comment if anything is not clear. We'll see you next time. Thank you.